Is this thing on? Hello? John, say a few words so the audience gets a good
Hey
idea.
guys.
Yeah, hi guys. Um so we promised to do a Cobra Kai stream. We haven't done that yet for various reasons. My fault completely. I think we'll still get around to it eventually. But for now, we're here to talk about, and I'm just chilling mostly. I was just here, and my dad actually brought up doing a stream about the RDJ news, and I thought that
Hmm.
was kind of a fun idea. So here we are. We're here to talk about that and Deadpool and Wolverine and the state of the MCU. And John, you can confirm this. Neither of
Hmm.
us have talked together about either of these things yet, even Deadpool and
Y-
Wolverine. So,
Yeah, this last few days for me has been pretty crazy. So
yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I guess before we get to Deadpool and Wolverine, we can just talk about this. Was it SDCC? That's the one that's been out
yeah.
recently, been happening recently.
Mm-hmm.
And they announced that instead of Kang Dynasty, they're doing an Avengers movie with Doctor Doom as the main villain, played by played by Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Your
I
reaction?
so when I heard this, right, I was like, the last night, um, the theater near me was showing UFC 304. So we were all sitting there, um, and I had been following SDCC up until like when we sat down. So I had seen like all the Fantastic Four stuff and whatnot. And then my friend is just like, yo, they cast RDJ as Doctor Doom. And I had to like triple check it to confirm that because that was not what I was expecting. Which, funny enough, it leaked actually, but a lot of people just didn't believe it.
I did hear some things about that, and I just, again, didn't believe it because it's such a stupid
Um,
decision. Um,
yeah, as far as this casting, I mean, it feels like I think you can make the argument that it feels a little desperate and whatnot. I don't, for whatever reason, I don't feel bad about it. Like I think the emotion or the feeling that I have really just right now about it is curiosity. I am curious
sure,
how they do it because there are a lot of comic book stories where they, like Iron Man kind of becomes Doctor Doom or he'll like take over Iron Man's body or whatnot. And they're all really good stories. So if that's what they're adapting, like I think it could be cool. Not what I was expecting personally. I probably would have cast like Cillian Murphy or Ben Affleck or even what's the name of the dude that plays Jamie Lannister?
oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that guy.
Okay, that would be
Yeah,
interesting.
definitely was not expecting that.
I Here's what I worry, and I think the entire decision is stupid and it sucks and it's very bad. But I worry that it's another multiverse thing, and that it's like Tony Stark in a different universe is Doctor Doom. And I'm just so sick and tired of that. I don't want any of it. Coming off of Deadpool and Wolverine, get it get it off of my screen. I don't like the multiverse. Like you haven't done anything
It
interesting
is
with it.
it is funny that in Deadpool and Wolverine they broke the fourth wall and talked about it. And Deadpool says like, "Guys, can we stop doing it?" And then like 2 days later they announce this.
Yeah, well even I still feel like Deadpool and Wolverine was guilty of doing the thing they were making fun of. But
What with the all the Deadpools?
yeah.
Yeah. That part felt like a side quest. I
It
probably would have rated the
was
movie higher if they didn't do that.
it's like a 1 out of 10 movie. Anyway,
That's a horrible take.
no,
My
it's
apologies.
it's going to age so well. That is my take right now, and it's about as bad as Multiverse of Madness, and I'm going to stand by that. And we'll revisit it in a few months.
You are welcome to do so. I enjoyed the heck out of that movie. I don't think
I enjoyed it too.
from a film perspective I can say that it's good, but I think from an enjoyment perspective it's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd say it's fun. It's pretty funny. I laughed a lot. Anyway, we're talking about Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. And
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like they're just they're reaching in the bag, you know. What did they say? And I know this is just a marketing thing, so obviously you're not supposed to take it seriously. I think the introduction to him was we picked the only person who could play Victor Von Doom. It's like, nah, sorry. And
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I want to see Robert Downey Jr. If they did a multiverse thing or something, I wouldn't mind seeing Robert Downey Jr. back as Iron Man for a little bit. But I don't want to see him as Victor Von Doom.
I'm curious if they're gonna do a. I'm. Mm, if it's gonna be where he is Tony Stark turned into Doctor Doom, or if he is actually just Victor Von Doom.
Victor Von Doom with a similar face.
But
I
yeah,
think,
it would be.
yeah,
It would be. It's most likely it's a multiverse where he's kind of like that version's like Iron Man. That's what I'm
yeah.
guessing.
I mean, it's not a bad guess. It sounds like what they do.
I'm definitely intrigued. Like, I'm more open to this than I have been for a lot of other stuff that they've done. I think partially because it's the Russo brothers. Not that they're perfect by any means, but they have a better track record than a lot of other people at Marvel. So
I am. I don't think there's anything to be intrigued about. I don't like what. I don't see
I
anything
mean, if it doesn't
interesting about
interest you, that's
this.
fine. But I'm definitely interested. Like, I there's good comic book stories where they've done this. So if they're actually adapting it well, like that might be cool. I'm
When it,
definitely open to it.
yeah, I don't think there's been a time when they've adapted a comic book well, though.
What about Infinity War?
Would you really? I mean, that's the thing. That's a good movie, but I don't think it's a good adaptation of Infinity War as a comic because it's super unfaithful to the source material.
Yes, it does its own thing, but it pulls from a lot of the big ideas. I guess maybe adaptation's not maybe the right word. Um, I guess the inspiration for that, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, obviously they're gonna do it differently. I mean, it would probably. I don't know how I'd feel if you took like a comic book and then adapted it panel for panel.
I think the ones
Cause
that have done that have gone over very well. Sin City is apparently
which
one of
ones
them.
have done that?
Sin
Uh,
City and then obviously 300 and Watchmen try to be pretty panel for panel as much as they can.
yeah. Um, I could make some comments there, but I'm not going to, because I
Sure.
don't want to go down the whole Snyder road.
Oh yeah, are you ready to
Um,
watch both Snyder cuts? What is that, like this week or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Can't wait. Chalice of Blood
Um,
and Curse of Forgiveness.
yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm intrigued. Um, and it's the writer, it was one of the writers that was on Infinity War and Endgame. So it's not like they have a terrible lineup of people working on this. Um, Now, if it's bad, I think that's even worse for them because they have a decent lineup. Um, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, how well did Endgame age? I feel like if they have the same creative team as those people, not super
Well, it's
optimistic.
the creative team for both Infinity War and Endgame
Right.
and Civil War.
Uh-huh.
Civil War aged beautifully, and I would say Infinity War did for the most part.
I agree
Endgame,
with
obviously
that,
not as much.
but generally
So
the
they're
artist's
going to
later
give
work is
them.
going to be a better indication of their future work.
Yes. Now I do think Infinity War and Endgame were all weren't they all shot together?
No, I don't think so.
I know it was all written together. I don't know if it was all. Oh, let me look that up.
I don't
Hold
think
on.
it was written together either, at least not according to the book I listened to. I think Endgame's plot changed multiple times while they were writing it after Infinity War.
Nope, they were working on both films at the same time.
Okay. Well, I've heard differing reports on that, so that's... Well, I guess I'm sure that they were working on them, but I don't think they were written at the same time. Because I remember hearing after Infinity War, they were trying to make
So
it several
they
different
were working
places.
on both films at the same time, but they didn't shoot like a scene for Infinity War and then shoot a scene for Endgame on the same day.
What's your source on that?
Multiple articles.
Okay, I'm just wondering if they're... How long ago were they written?
Some are very recent, some are very far away.
Okay. Well, I guess that doesn't really matter. In any case, I don't really trust the Russo brothers. Plus, from what I've heard, their other stuff that they've released, like different movies and TV shows, have also been pretty awful since Endgame.
Gray Man. Gray Man got mixed reviews. I know some people that really liked that movie, and I know some people that didn't care for it as much.
Yeah. This does to me reek of desperation. I understand, like, hopefully they do have a story that they're hoping to sort of use. Hopefully they have a direction. But it feels very obviously like they're trying to generate as much hype as possible, especially after Deadpool and Wolverine, which was just many blunt acknowledgments of the disastrous place that the MCU is in.
Yeah.
Like, they obviously know they're in trouble, and it's impossible for me to see this decision independently from that.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
mean,
you liked Deadpool and Wolverine?
I'm curious how long they've been working on this and just had it played around with this as an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely at some point, I'm probably gonna go watch Comic Book Explained video on it because apparently he broke down all the different stuff where they've done something like this before, and he says it could actually be really cool if they do it right. Um, because I think obviously yeah, it is a little bit of oh let's generate hype and whatnot. I don't think this is completely just an executive boardroom decision. I think there is some stuff that they're playing with. Considering the fact that this has been in comics before. So I don't know. I am definitely interested in what happens.
I guess something for me too is that, like, my passion for the MCU is just, it's just dead. I just don't care anymore. Especially with Deadpool and Wolverine, not to be too, like, abrasive about it, but the world building is completely destroyed. It's never gonna make any sense. We're never gonna get, like, a good explanation of the multiverse, or yeah, it's never gonna be coherent, which to me is just like, that kind of destroys my investment. I want to, like, know how things work. Like, something when No Way Home came out, and that's back when I was sort of like still hanging on to Loki. I was I was really worried about like, okay, so are they gonna make clear that like this multiverse thing is only possible because of Loki's adventure through the through that TV show and all of this stuff, and I was worried they weren't gonna have it make sense, and especially after Loki season 2 and the anchor person in Deadpool and Wolverine, and Multiverse of Madness,
Give me
nothing makes
one
sense
second. I'll
anymore.
be right back.
Sure. Um, yeah, no, the MCU's in a very bad place for me. And if you're listening to this and you're just like, I like the MCU. That's that's fine. You do that. I really like world building. I really like Lord of the Rings. They have a very coherent world and history and
All right, I'm back.
the early MCU had a nice flow of events. It wasn't perfect. Obviously, there are lots of situations where like there would obviously be other superheroes called in for a world disaster, and they just don't have the budget for it. There wasn't complete world coherence, but once you get to the multiverse scale, it's not super difficult too. I don't feel like, and this is easy for me to say, but I feel like Into the Spider-Verse presented a pretty, and I don't know so much about Across the Spider-Verse, but Into the Spider-Verse presented a pretty coherent version of the multiverse. And the multiverse is like a huge aspect of the MCU. I think for a little while they were talking about this being sort of phases 5 and 6 being like the multiverse saga. And the MCU has been just a complete mess in terms of
Mm.
that. And it makes me sad a little bit.
Are you talking about the connective tissue?
The You mean in terms of story, or is that like a technical term for something?
You know how in phases 1 through 3, well, 2 is a little shaky in this, but everything kind of connects back to each other
Yeah.
and explains each other, and they've failed a lot on phase like 4 and even phase 5. Um,
Yeah, I've heard people say this, and I wasn't sure if I agreed at first. Um, I listened to a couple of people that have been saying that we needed another Avengers movie a long time ago, and I'm starting to agree more and more with that. Like, they did a whole movie about this random character that they just introduced. They did all this marketing for it. His name was Shang-Chi, and right now, if you were to ask me if I'm ever gonna see him in the MCU again, or like where he is, what's he doing, like what are his superpowers, I would have no idea. Same with like the Eternals, or maybe, yeah, I'd feel like it's sort of broken. That's my perspective. Sorry, I've been rambling. What have you got to say?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, the connective tissue has not been great necessarily. I mean, even like there's the big celestial in the ocean. They haven't mentioned that. Um,
Oh, don't
which I
worry,
heard they're
they
going
will
to in
in Captain
the new
America
Cap
4.
movie.
Yeah.
I am as far as the other upcoming movies, I'm willing to give them a shot. Um, and see if they might pull things together. I don't know.
I mean, we got
But yeah.
Agatha coming up, so
Yeah, I'm not sure why they decided to release that. That seems like a poor decision.
and we've got Ironheart and Captain America. That one's gonna be a weird one. I don't know how to feel about that one.
Yeah.
It should have
Then
been
we
Bucky.
got Thunderbolts.
Is that even still
I'm
coming out?
actually okay with it. Yeah, yeah, they had a whole thing at SDCC about it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, apparently they showed some footage. David Harbour showed up in like full costume.
He's Red Guardian.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it seemed like they're pretty excited for it. Do you know that Giancarlo Esposito is in Cap 4?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Because
That
he's a
one,
bad guy, and so they hired him.
dude, I need to see that man play like a character where he's like a good guy because I feel like all I've seen him play is villains.
Yeah. I mean, the Gentleman TV show on Netflix is good, but he also played a villain in that.
Yeah. I mean, not that any of his work is like bad. I would just like to see him as a good guy.
Yeah, what's that one tweet? I saw this one tweet that was like, oh, I can't remember it. In any case, I feel like, I don't know, he's getting paid a lot. He's getting paid a lot.
Yeah.
He's doing okay. What are your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine?
I really enjoyed it. I saw it opening night on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
The theater was packed. We had a really fun crowd. I thought it was a really fun movie. It's a Deadpool movie, so therefore half the plot doesn't make sense. um,
I
but
think the
yeah, I
first
enjoyed it.
Deadpool's plot made sense. What didn't make sense
Have
about
you
it?
seen the second Deadpool?
No, I haven't actually.
I would, if I were to rank them, all right, just based on like a film perspective, one is obviously the best, then three, and then two. Two is I get that a lot of things in Deadpool don't make sense and the writers don't care about a lot of things, and that's fine. But and do you mind if I talk about like what happens in the third act of that movie?
I'm like vaguely aware. It's like time machine stuff,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, they go through this whole thing where he convinces the kid not to kill this other guy, which means he won't go down the road of becoming a villain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he dies because he has a bullet in his chest and he has like a thing that makes his powers not work. Well, then Cable goes back in time and saves him. But then they just kind of go forward. All the characters act like they're still at the point that the last scene ended off on. And that was just too much of a mistake for me to like Deadpool doesn't care about a lot of continuity, but that one was pretty big for me. I was like, that feels like it's somewhat important, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
Also,
I'll watch it sometime. I don't know.
one thing with the Deadpool movies is that he makes jokes that are very relevant to what's going on. So he made some jokes in Deadpool 2 that I was like, okay, I bet if I saw this in 2018, I would probably think that's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not 2018 anymore. And that's probably like, if somebody watches Deadpool and Wolverine 10 years from now, and like, he makes the comment about the long run times, they're probably gonna be like, what?
Maybe. Um,
I do think revealing that X-23 was in the movie ahead of time was a bad decision.
I don't agree with that. I don't. Yeah, I don't see any issue with that.
Well, even when she comes out, they purposely they have the longest pause for the audience to applause. And when she came out in the theater, she had the quietest amount of applause because we all knew she was going to be in it.
Hmm. Yeah. It was
It's
pretty
something that they maybe
funny.
could have gone and fixed.
It kind of for
Yeah.
me, it made me like Ryan Reynolds a little bit more because I wasn't like cry laughing or anything, but there were some jokes that I really liked. What was your favorite joke? Obviously, the post credit scene
I
one was pretty good, but
Yeah, that one was pretty funny. I think his some of the fourth wall breaks in this movie were some of the funniest that I've seen him do. I like the one where he grabs the camera and headbutts it, says "Suck it, Fox, I'm going to Disneyland." Um, he made that one joke. I don't even know if I'm allowed to repeat that, but about the gays in the multiverse, that was kind of funny. Um, yeah, a lot of the stuff was pretty funny in that movie. I liked it.
I think my favorite joke was the one sort of towards the beginning at the party where he tells the one guy, he's like, anyway, so those are all my views on abortion, religion, politics. Gender rights in the border. That one I really liked.
Yeah, that was funny.
And then
Uh,
the other one, which was more just like like that's a me kind of joke to make, so I found it funny, even though it probably technically wasn't, was the one where whoever it is mentions Eliath, and he goes, "Oh, you mean from season 1,
oh,
episode 5
dude.
of Loki?"
I thought that was hilarious. Yeah.
How do
Oh, yeah.
you feel
Dude.
about woke
I
Deadpool?
enjoyed this movie. I might go see it again. I'm not sure yet because I have some friends that possibly might go see it again. Um, but yeah, I enjoyed it. A lot of the cameos in it. I went into this with not like a whole lot of spoilers. I knew. Oh, and spoiler warning, I guess, for anyone watching. Um, I knew that Chris Evans was going to be in the movie. I didn't know he was Human Torch. I thought he was Cap. Which I thought that was funny. I
What
liked the Elektra one. Like, I haven't seen that movie, so I guess that one didn't really resonate with me. The Blade one was cool. I liked Gambit. I guess this is the first time we've gotten like a decent live action Gambit.
wasn't he in one of the X-Men movies as well?
He's in X-Men Origins.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why it was a big deal because he was done so dirty in that movie. But yeah, I liked a lot of how they did him with his cards and stuff. Some of the staff work wasn't as good in regards to choreography, but we don't have to get into that.
Um,
Um,
what did you think of
yeah.
woke Deadpool?
Oh, yeah. I thought. Oh, when he makes the comment about like the woke mob.
Well, there's that one, and then just the whole woke character. What did you think
Yeah.
of the woke comments and like the male feminist comments? Did you think they were too
I thought they
heavy-handed
were
or
funny.
okay?
No,
I thought the
I
male feminist one was pretty funny.
I thought that it's in character for Deadpool to make jokes like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it helps. It helps a little bit because I mean, dude, a lot of Marvel stuff has been pretty heavy-handed on that recently. So it's kind of funny that he acknowledged it a little bit.
Yeah, and the joke where he says those are all my views on religion and politics and the border and everything was also sort of a tacit joke, nodding towards the fact that Marvel does like to shoehorn those things in there pretty often,
Yeah. And I
which
like
is
the way
another
they did that
reason.
joke because you
Yeah.
don't hear him say anything, so you can just kind of leave it up to interpretation.
It's a really good joke actually, but
Um, yeah, I am of the opinion that the first two acts are way better than the third act. The third act lost me, especially when dude, that one side quest they go on, that was so weird.
the Deadpool one,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I get, it felt like they just wanted to do that scene just for the sake of having that scene. Um, but even as I was watching them kill all the Deadpools, which that's I do like that scene, like the actual fighting part of that and the choreography that they used, but like I was thinking like they do realize these guys can regenerate, right?
Yeah.
But I guess they don't.
I
Hey,
feel
we got
like he
Peter in a Deadpool costume. That was peak.
I feel like this is what happened, right? I feel like Ryan Reynolds was like, okay, I really want this movie to do well. I want to get Wolverine in there. I want to get a bunch of cameos in here. And he asked Marvel, how can I do that? And Marvel was like, "Oh, well, you'd have to use the multiverse, and we don't really want to pay Benedict Cumberbatch to facilitate that, or and people don't really like America Chavez as a character, so we can just use a Loki." And the TVA was rumored to be in this movie like years ago. This was a
Yeah.
long time plot, but I feel like Ryan Reynolds was probably like, are there any like you know, laws in the Marvel universe that I can't break, like anything I shouldn't do. And they were just like, "Oh, well, it's Deadpool, so it's fine. You can break whatever rules you want in order to get to the payoffs." And that's exactly what they did. Cuz nothing
Yeah.
in this movie makes sense. Starting off with the anchor being what was I'm
Oh
actually
yeah.
legitimately angry about that. Because someone has to explain to me, right? If there's an anchor being, and if they die, their universe... Is the anchor being always immortal? Can the anchor being ever die? What? And then also, with Loki Season 2, I thought that all universes could existed, and they don't have to be pruned at all. And so now we're saying that, oh, they don't have to be pruned, but they will die in 2,000 years. That seems like a really weird, arbitrary thing. What is that about?
Well, if the anchor being dies, then they will
Right, but all
die
anchor
off.
beings will die unless they're immortal, right? Like
Yeah, so
Wolverine was never gonna live forever.
the biggest issue there is that they don't explain how the anchor being is like maybe it's like passed down. Um I don't know. They don't explain it too well. I already knew about the anchor being a long time ago, so it didn't surprise me too much. A lot of the actual like plot stuff I already knew with, you know, like Cassandra Nova and the MacGuffin thing bomb. I don't spaghettification bomb.
And then
Uh,
the bad guys just switching out at the last minute.
what do you mean?
I mean, Mr. Paradox is the bad guy, and Cassandra Nova is on their team for a little bit, and then suddenly she's trying to destroy the world, and she doesn't like them anymore.
Yeah, that's another reason why I thought the third act wasn't as good, because it just felt kind of rushed. I don't know.
And I feel like the cameos too were pretty much Multiverse of Madness level, where like you're like, oh, look at this
I
guy,
would
and then
I
they're
would
just gone.
disagree on that because the cameos on a lot of this stuff resonated with audiences way more than Multiverse of Madness.
Okay, like you told me how they feel, but substantively, how are they different?
I like so a lot of these are Fox X-Men
Uh-huh.
and stuff,
Well,
and I liked
no,
it because
not Blade and not Elektra and not
not
Channing
Blade, yeah,
Tatum.
not all of them, but a lot of these characters are from older movies and whatnot. And since everything's getting pruned off by this guy, it made sense that a lot of them were just hanging out in oh, what do you call it? The wastelands.
The end of
Also,
time place.
they did them a lot better. I mean, you could argue that maybe they did Human Torch a little dirty. Um,
Yeah, they killed him
which
like
I
John Krasinski.
yeah, which I think to be fair, the way he died makes a little bit more sense than the way John Krasinski died. Even if they're both like, if the one is stupid and more humorous, John Krasinski's one was just completely out of character and stupid on the writer's part.
I don't think he died because he was stupid. I mean, he was stupid. Like, it was definitely a problem.
Well, if he hadn't have told Wanda exactly what Black Bolt does, none of them would have died.
Uh, I don't believe that, but we don't have to argue about it.
I mean, I guess there's a lot of different ways that could have gone, but in the scene itself, he tells her the one thing, and then she blows his brains out. End of story. I don't. I feel that like a comic accurate Reed Richards would never have done that.
I mean, I agree that he was out of character. I think if
Um,
people have
which I
a...
mean, Wanda probably could have taken them on. I don't know.
I think she would have been
I don't
fine,
know if
yeah.
Black Bolt could have actually like. I would need to watch like some videos on like power scaling and whatnot to figure the whole Black Bolt versus Wanda thing. Because I know that's debatable.
If Black Bolt had spoken, I think he would have also ended up killing all of his friends. So I don't think that was actually ever in the cards. Um, but it doesn't really matter. In any case, I don't. But I feel like so. What you're talking about as far as the Fox X-Men cameos, those are basically all the villains, right? Because they don't. I thought we were gonna see Beast and Storm and some of the people like the superheroes. I definitely thought we were gonna see Professor X at some point. We never got
Yeah, I
those.
was a little disappointed on that. Um, no, yeah, we saw a lot of the villains. We had Blade. We had Gambit. I liked Gambit. That one made me pretty happy. We had X-23.
X-23. I
Um,
feel like what was one? I think I listened to some kind of stream where they suggested instead of Deadpool not knowing who X-23 was, what if they made it that or sorry, Wolverine not knowing who X-23 was, what if they reversed it so that it was like a Wolverine, and obviously you'd have to custom fit the story, but I feel like the scene between them would have been so much more meaningful cuz like what we got between her and Logan was pretty unsubstantial. I don't feel like they really resolved anything.
yeah. Um, as far as like these cameos being better than the Multiverse of Madness, I think I would say is that obviously they both have the you see them on the screen for the first time, everyone's like, "Ooh, that's so cool." Multiverse of Madness proceeds to then do them really dirty and disrespectful. And most of these characters, such as, Gambit and Blade and Elektra, they went out well. Like it was like for lack of better terms, it was cool. And that is better than what they did I really hate what they did in Multiverse of Madness. I think it was really disrespectful, but the only one that I guess
Yeah.
you could say is like somewhat disrespectful would be the Johnny Storm.
I mean, I don't think that they were like I think No Way Home did a way better job with the cameos. Cuz you
Yeah.
get built on character for practically all of them with the exception of like Lizard and Sandman pretty much.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
well, that's
all
because
of
they
those
didn't have
characters
the
were like
actors, right?
improved. Sorry?
That's because they didn't have the actors, right?
Oh no, they had the actors there. It's the voices and everything.
Hmm.
Um but like that to me, and No Way Home obviously isn't a perfect movie. They messed up a decent amount of stuff, but they knew how to handle the characters from previous, and I feel like that's the way you do cameos is you do the cameo, you have Andrew there, you have Toby there, but then they interact with the main characters in like meaningful ways that build on their character and make you love them even more, like Toby Maguire stopping Tom Holland from stabbing Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. That's such a beautiful moment that builds on all of their characters. I wish, and I haven't even seen like the Blade movie or the Elektra movie, and maybe they just didn't have the time for this. But those cameos to me would have been so much better if they could have worked in some of that for these characters. That would have been an actual meaningful cameo to me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would have been better. I would say they probably didn't do that because they didn't have the time. Um, Also, that's probably not what they were really trying to do with this movie. Yeah, it wasn't called Deadpool and Fox cameos. It was Deadpool and Wolverine.
What are you talking about? He makes all kinds of comments about how like this is going to be a cameo fest in the movie. I
Yeah, but it's a cameo fest, but it's not like Spider-Man No Way Home revolved around like all three of them as characters, whereas Deadpool and Wolverine, it's really just about Deadpool and Wolverine with all these random cool things on the side that people will be like, "Oh, cool," and then clap, and then that's it. I'm not saying that that's better than No Way Home. No Way Home's obviously does that better, but I'm saying that's probably what they were shooting for. They didn't really feel like they wanted to take the time out to do that.
I agree that they didn't care that it was substanceless. Um, yeah, It's just I guess I'm trying to explain why to me the cameos didn't mean anything. And maybe that's because I haven't actually seen like the Blade movie, but I wasn't hearing a lot of Blade fans singing this thing's praises either. Maybe I just haven't seen it on Twitter, but
I saw a decent amount of Blade fans that liked it.
I mean,
I would say probably the most unremarkable out of all of them was Elektra.
sure.
Even like in the theater when they first revealed Elektra, there wasn't like a big response.
Yeah. That makes sense, I guess. Her movie probably did pretty badly.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the way they handled Wolverine as a character?
I thought it was fine. If you're wondering if I thought it disrespected Logan, I don't think it does.
I mean, it
I definitely
disrespected Logan, but it wasn't in like an offensive way. Like obviously you can't get much more disrespectful than throwing his corpse around, but I didn't get like
sorry, I
offended
meant
at it.
the original X-Men character cuz he already went through his whole thing. He's dead. He's done. And they just kind of left it that way. Obviously, he goes and like pulls up the grave. I actually didn't have a problem with that, but m- mainly because it's in character for Deadpool to do that. Back when Logan and like Deadpool 2 came out, people made all these edits saying like, "Oh, this should have been the end credit scene for Deadpool 2," and it was Logan. It was Deadpool going to Logan's grave and doing exactly what he did. Um, So yeah, I thought as far as Wolverine, I mean I definitely thought his story was more interesting than Deadpool's. I wish they would have focused on it more. I don't feel like they focused on it enough.
Yeah, I didn't feel like he had a lot going on. Um, like he's
The
supposed to
parts
be
where they
the
did,
worst of the worst Wolverines, right? And essentially his
yeah,
crime is that he got drunk and accidentally killed some good people, and then the other X-Men died.
yeah. Well, it was he got drunk and passed out, and when he got up, I'm assuming like the Sentinels killed everyone.
Yeah, but this is supposed to be like, I mean, maybe this wasn't actually supposed to be the case, but Matthew McFadden's character, Mr. Paradox, says that he's like the worst of the Wolverines. It did not feel like that
I
to
think
me.
he means the worst in like getting the job done. That's
Oh,
how I took it.
maybe.
Not like he's a bad person, like a villain necessarily. That's what I took it as.
Hopefully that's what he meant. Yeah. Yeah, it to me, this is a weird statement. It didn't feel like a real movie.
Hmm.
Like they didn't have a plot. Uh, I think the only person to go on a character arc was Wolverine. I guess Deadpool.
Deadpool did a little bit, yeah.
What was his arc? Would you say? Was it like not wanting to be part of
Um,
the Avengers?
Yeah, I think it was well, obviously he broke up with his girlfriend cuz he didn't have I think basically he didn't really have a lot of goals. He was just kind of doing random stuff. Yeah, it wasn't like the greatest arc. He basically becomes like a lot more focused towards the end. I did like the that conversation between him and Wolverine in the car.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was maybe the
probably
best part, I think, in terms of
one
character.
of the few like character moments. Cause it was cool to see like Deadpool's always this funny guy, but it was cool to see like Wolverine like say some stuff that like actually got under his skin.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was probably the part I was the most engaged with in terms of character.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, the CGI was pretty bad too. Have you seen the
Yeah, it
clip of
had
when the sword goes through Deadpool?
yeah. It definitely had its moments.
I mean, I think we all knew though that this thing was like rushed into production, and it did
Yeah.
not have the time at all because they wanted this to be like a summer blockbuster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I went into this movie expecting a fun Deadpool movie, and that's exactly what I got. So I'm not disappointed, really.
That's yeah. And again, I think most people will find it very enjoyable and lots of people will have fun with it. In fact, no, I keep on saying this, like I had fun with it. I just thought it was like a particularly bad and badly made movie. Um,
Yeah. A lot of the fights and choreography is actually really good. That opening fight with at Logan's grave, they did some really creative stuff with the stunts that I really liked.
hmm.
Which I think that's Deadpool has always had good fight scenes and choreography. I don't know if it's like they put the same person on it, but across the board, all three movies, whenever they do a fight scene, I really like to watch it because they do some pretty like fun, cool, creative stuff with the stunts and whatnot.
Yeah. I remember enjoying it.
I liked when Gambit was doing like his cards and stuff because we've never really gotten like a good version of that on screen. They did it really well when he's like throwing around his cards. Electra actually was the one where I was disappointed the most because the camera work on her wasn't great. Gambit's bow staff work could have been better. Um, but yeah, I
I remember
yeah
enjoying especially like Blade's choreography. Although there were
yeah
definitely
Blade had
lots
some.
of moments where I felt like they should have gotten hit, but that's pretty par for the course at this point. So,
Do you mean like shot
yeah.
or like?
Like they're
Oh
surrounded by
yeah
people and they're fine. But
yeah. I like the actual like Deadpool versus Wolverine fight was really really good.
yeah, you're talking
Uh,
about the one in the car?
Not yeah that one too, but also the one in front of like the Fox logo.
Oh.
How did you feel about Wolverine just one tapping Sabretooth?
I don't know. Is that actually something people have been waiting for, like the fans, like Deadpool said? Because if it is, they've got to
A
be pretty
little bit because
disappointed.
Origins did a horrible job at it.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's what it goes back to.
I had no
Is a
personal
lot of
investment in
there.
it, but if people liked it or didn't
Yeah,
like it,
I do have a bit of an investment in it just because I really like a lot of the older X-Men movies, but Origins was so bad, and they had the chance to do a lot of cool stuff in it. So I like bringing in Gambit, having like a good Wolverine versus Sabretooth rematch. I did enjoy those things.
was that actually the same? Was that the
I
Sabretooth
don't
actor? I don't think it was
know.
it? Because that guy had like hillbilly hillbilly vibes, something like that. I
Yeah,
watched that movie somewhat recently, but
yeah, yeah. That movie's so freaking bad, dude.
it's kind of funny.
I have so many issues with that movie.
Uh, um, Mary from Lord of the Rings is in it, and that's always cool to see.
That's cool. You know what's also cool is the ladder scene. Makes the CGI in Deadpool and Wolverine look like a masterpiece.
I I can't remember that movie. The thing that I remember about that movie the most, just because it made me so mad, is when you
Mm.
spent all this time with those like farmer characters, and those farmer characters are so nice to him, and they're like
Mm-hmm.
giving him a shirt and taking care of him, and then the plot is just like, all right, time to kill these people, and it's totally
Yep.
unceremonious and awful.
One of these days, I want to watch Dark Phoenix with you.
That That one's gonna
Uh,
be fun. I need to watch
Dark
like the other
Phoenix.
X-Men
I
movies
haven't.
first, but
So I haven't seen New Mutants, so I can't speak to New Mutants. I've seen everything else. Dark Phoenix is the worst. It is so unbelievably terrible. Unlike on a movie side, on a CGI side, on an acting side, on a comic book side, even like the consistency of their powers, it's so awful.
what about the soundtrack, John? Huh? Are you gonna insult Hans Zimmer?
That's not even Hans Zimmer's best work. I love Hans
No, that's
Zimmer. That
true.
is
You're
not his
right.
best work.
You're right.
Dude, he even like his Magneto theme was not as good as First Class's Magneto's theme. And I think that goes for like every other movie that Magneto's in. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
his Dark Phoenix theme is literally dun 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 dun. It's pretty bad, honestly.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
I
No,
think
that's
the
the thing.
best
I
part about
am.
it is like it's pretty ethereal and it's got kind of a vibe to it. That's about the best thing.
Mhm. I think with the X-Men, I definitely have like I feel like me personally, I have a stronger connection to the X-Men and a lot of their stories than just like a lot of just standard Avengers characters.
Mhm.
Because even like growing up when I played that first like Lego Marvel superheroes game, where with they have like Galactus, I was always more drawn to like playing as the X-Men characters. I don't know, they just interested me a lot more, and I really like a lot of the X-Men movies. There's a few that I don't, and I can go on long rants about them, but yeah, one of these days I'm gonna take some time out of my day, and I'm gonna. Oh, I actually do have a long road trip, so I might try and get through X-Men '97 because I've heard good things about it.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, so that's probably why I also like enjoyed this Deadpool and Wolverine a lot more, is because I get to have more X-Men.
They didn't. That's the thing, though. I don't feel like they did have that many X-Men. They had Logan, Deadpool, and some of the old villains that were on screen for like 10 minutes.
I had X-23,
Yeah.
Gambit.
Uh, X-23. You weren't like
I guess
disappointed
like
with
she's
what
not like
they did with her?
technically in. I wasn't disappointed nor excited, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I I didn't go into that movie thinking they were gonna do a lot with her, and I was not wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess for me, this movie's kind of exactly what I expected it to be. Aside from that random side quest, I don't. I would rate the movie higher if they didn't, if they hadn't have done that. Now they did make a lot of funny jokes during that. I liked when they were all talking about like how bad the MCU has been, and then Nice Pool's like, I think it's been good
Yeah.
since Endgame.
That was
um,
another good joke for sure.
I think yeah, and then Deadpool just kills Nice Pool, which I that was pretty predictable that he was gonna do that, but
Yeah.
I yeah, it is funny. Like Deadpool does like kill certain characters, and you're kind of just expected to laugh at it. Like even like the Chris Evans one, like technically he didn't have to tell her everything he said.
That was a really good joke. I actually the
Yeah.
so I watched this in I watched it in a way so that I could watch it at home. And
Mm.
in the way I watched it, I was not able to catch the credits, but I went on YouTube and I caught the credits that way, and I thought it was very funny because you can
Yeah,
you
it
can
was pretty
find a
funny.
decent amount of this movie online.
Yeah. I would definitely I'm gonna hold the opinion that the fourth wall breaks in this movie are the funniest out of the three movies.
I feel like
Like
that might
the
be the case
Loki
because
one,
they're making fun of Marvel, and we've been stuck with Marvel for a long time.
yeah. That is fair. Like they do have something more substantive to go off of than the other movies did. Like in Deadpool 2, he's asking like, is dubstep still a thing in the future? And I'm like, I'm sure I would think that's funny if I was in 2018.
Yeah.
Um, But no, these like when the Loki season 1 episode 5 one, I'm with you on that one. I thought that was hilarious. I
That's
like
such
when he grabs the
yeah.
camera and headbutts it and he's like, "Suck it, Fox." Um yeah,
There was that one really stupid joke, but it made me laugh of the when he was getting changed into his costume and he had the mustache guy.
oh,
Um,
about that guy being a groomer.
yeah, a predator.
Yeah, that was funny.
By
Yeah.
the way, that's another thing about this movie, and I didn't feel like this was the case for the first Deadpool. Maybe I just have rose-tinted glasses, but
Mm.
there is not. I was telling my dad this. I don't think there was a single 60-second clip I could show him without a swear word in it. And usually the F-bomb rate is like 3 a minute for most of the movie. And it's kind of ridiculous
Yeah.
and childish to me, but
Yeah, he does like to throw it out there. I thought it was funny when they're confronting Cassandra Nova and then her like number one henchman guy comes up and he goes to make the speech, and right when he starts doing that, in my mind I'm like, ugh, now I have to listen to this guy talk. And then Deadpool literally just tells like, shut up, no one cares.
not everyone gets a monologue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pyro,
Yeah,
he
this
was
is
in the other
definitely
movies, right? Wasn't he? He was one that I didn't
who was?
recognize. Pyro, the guy you were just talking about, the henchman.
Oh yeah, Pyro, he is in the movies.
Which one is he
He's
in?
really cool and he's in Days of Future Past. I think he's
Okay.
in a lot of the first ones.
Yeah, and I have to go watch those. It's on the list for sure. But
Days of Future Past was really good. I liked what they did with Pyro.
that's what I
Well, for the
hear.
few scenes that he had.
That and X2, is it? Is that one pretty good?
Yeah, X2 is good. Um, yeah, I mean, those are probably like my top three for the Fox X-Men. Probably like Logan, Days of Future Past, and either like X2 or like the 2013 Wolverine movie. Um,
Yeah, Deadpool, and maybe this comes down to Ryan Reynolds. Maybe it was because it felt a little generic to me. That movie I don't like as much as most people. Like it wasn't bad. It
with the
wasn't.
first one.
Yeah, it felt like
Hmm.
fine.
I liked it. I don't like the second one as much. Um, which like I do like Josh Brolin as Cable in that movie, but the second one's plot is so generic. Like it's the most predictable plot, and then they do the stupid thing with time travel at the end that doesn't make too much sense.
Yeah.
Um.
I'm sure this will make a ton of money though, and people will like it. I don't think.
Oh, dude, it's at what 400 mil right now.
Is it really? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I saw this morning.
Wow, that's insane. I don't
This
think.
is this
Yeah.
is one thing I wanted to talk about. Obviously, the ratings and just the opening. Well, actually, the opening technically isn't as good as Multiverse of Madness, but Multiverse of Madness didn't really last. People like this movie. I think it is pretty safe to say that overall, people like this movie a lot more than MOM or The Flash. Why do
Yeah.
you think that is?
Oh, I think. Well, I think it's because it's Deadpool. Um, Lots of people really enjoy Ryan Reynolds, and like, I mean, the premise is very sellable, right? Like, it's Deadpool and Wolverine, both of which are characters that lots of people feel those characters are cast as like the ideal person, and you can't really get any better. Now, Henry Cavill, sorry, spoilers again, but Henry Cavill in the suit, that was very cool to see. And I almost wish
Dude,
Ryan Reynolds made all these jokes, and they were probably accurate about how Marvel will use him until he's 90. But in some ways, I hope they get rid of him somewhat soon so that we can actually get Henry Cavill as Wolverine. Because I think that
I
would
would
work
be
out.
down. And I think even if we don't get Henry Cavill Wolverine, I think this confirms that we'll probably get Henry Cavill as somebody in the MCU. if he's already working with them.
We'll treat him way better than the guys
Dude,
down the
okay,
street.
yeah, what'd you think about that?
That's a pretty great
Because
joke.
that's
Yeah.
that's really direct at a few people over there.
Yeah, I think DC just has to roll with it. They can't really be caught
Yeah, I
complaining about
mean,
it.
they didn't treat him great, so I think they had it coming.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm pulling up the box office numbers.
But yeah,
Bro,
I hope people get a little more Hugh Jackman Wolverine in Avengers movies, and then we can recast him.
yeah. Dude, they don't have the Deadpool numbers up yet. That's annoying.
And to be fair, it's also been a little while since there's been like a popular Marvel movie, and people like going to see popular Marvel movies. Like,
yeah,
I know people who didn't like watch the MCU that went to see Endgame and Infinity War because it was popular.
This felt like a big like event movie.
Yeah, I mean, even Taylor Swift was
Kind of
promoting it.
like Civil War. Like Civil War wasn't an Avengers movie, but I mean, everyone and their grandma went to go see that movie.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm a little going back to SDCC, I'm a little disappointed they didn't announce, which I know from leaks, it sounds like they're really working on this. Avengers versus X-Men did not get announced.
Is that supposed to be like an animated project or a real
live action?
That would be. I think they should set up the X-Men before they have Avengers versus X-Men. In fact, you know
according to the leak, it's the Fox X-Men, and then the current Avengers. I think they'd probably bring a few Avengers back. This would probably be like a lead-in to Secret Wars or something. And then after Secret Wars, they're probably gonna like reboot and like get new X-Men. But
well, I was gonna say they should probably establish who the Avengers are first.
yeah, that's probably what they need to do. I'm hoping we get like somewhat of an establishment with like Cap 4 and Thunderbolts.
It's gonna be like Miss Marvel, dude. I actually, and this is, you're free to be angry at me for saying this, although I don't think you will be. I want more Kate Bishop in the MCU.
That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
What's the actress's name again? I'm trying
Haley
to remember.
Steinfeld.
Yeah, I think she's very great, and the MCU did really well to cast her, and she's probably the most attractive in multiple ways of the new set of Avengers, and I think they should do more with her.
Yeah. I still, unironically, I don't dislike the Marvels as much as I do a lot of other like Phase 4 and 5 stuff, which I think is funny.
That's fair. I think that's true of most people. I think most people would hate Thor: Love and Thunder more than the Marvels, honestly.
Oh yeah. Like, I like the Marvels more than MOM, Love and Thunder, Quantumania, Wakanda Forever. Maybe not Eternals is such a mixed bag for me.
Eternals was at least pretty to look at.
Yeah. And then the third act happened. But I still like, you could make the argument the first two acts are decent. I don't think you can make the argument that that third act is decent.
If you were to ask me right now, hey Caleb, which do you want to watch? The Marvels or Quantumania? It'd be the Marvels in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even have to think about it.
Yeah. It's because the Marvels, I think the Marvels is exactly what it's marketed to be.
Well,
it's just, well, not really.
Did you see that one trailer
it's just the
where
team.
they have like all the Avengers and Thanos is like my work?
Oh, that was stupid. Yeah, I forgot about that. That was stupid. I forgot Beast is in the end credits scene.
That's what I mean, dude. I thought if the Marvels is gonna get Beast, I thought for sure Deadpool and like, I'm not really complaining. It was just kind of surprising to me.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know. The Marvel. I don't feel like the Marvels, when it comes to like politics and like culture war and stuff. I don't. I didn't feel like it was shoving stuff down my throat like some other movies were.
It felt even more toned down than Captain Marvel did to me.
Yeah. No, it really did. I don't
Uh,
know. And everyone just dogs on that movie so much. But I feel like if you were to actually like be an intelligent person and like kind of like take a step back and look at it, I don't think it's as bad as say like Love and Thunder.
I mean, to be fair, on a plot level, it's probably worse. Like that plot makes no sense. They literally like they're sucking the atmosphere out of planets and that kind of thing. Uh, but it's not as offensive for sure. It doesn't really assassinate that many people.
I don't know. I just have so much hate for like some of the like Love and Thunder did and um what Quantum Mania did
Yeah.
that I have a hard time giving them any positives.
Yeah, I mean, if I were
MOM, I
to,
can give it a few positives, not very many.
there's some cool
I can
visuals and the acting is good.
I can give that first act of Wakanda Forever some positives.
I-
Um,
If you were to ask me to name some positives, actually no, I'll ask you. Name 5 positives of Thor: Love and Thunder. Besides gore, you can't say gore.
I don't even think gore is a positive.
Well, the acting is. You can't even praise the
Yeah,
acting of Gore. And his
I,
acting is actually great in that movie.
it's fine. I don't think it's necessarily his fault that it feels a little lackluster for me, but um,
Especially that first scene.
it is Christian Bale's. Other
You don't think his acting in the first scene was good?
no, the first scene is probably the best scene that he had in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, frick. There were like one or two things that they did in the fight scenes that I liked. Not a whole lot. Kind of like I liked how Mjolnir like splits into pieces and then like it reattaches itself. This isn't even like a plot thing. That's how much I'm having to reach right now. Uh, shoot. I'm like every time I try and think of something in that movie, I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't like it.
Did you like all the funny jokes?
Natalie Portman is um an attractive lady.
Wow.
That's my second positive.
That's okay. You can put that in there. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I really can't think of anything else. I'm gonna be honest. Maybe some of the soundtrack, but I don't even think the soundtrack was that good. Oh, I liked some of the old songs that they played. They played "Welcome to the Jungle" at the beginning, and I did like that because I like that song.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's that.
This is totally I was listening and I want to get back to this conversation, but just really quickly, that one
Yeah,
post uh has 7,600 views and 92 likes.
nice.
Anyway, yeah. No, Thor: Love and Thunder, Wakanda Forever is such a weird one to me too, because that is the blandest movie I've ever seen. Uh
That opening scene, I really liked, and I liked how they made like the urgency and like his death felt like really real, and then it just goes straight back to like Disney slop.
what would you think? Tell me what you think about this. what if they? Do you think they should have just recast Chadwick Boseman or
At this
Black
point, yes, I
Panther?
do.
Yeah.
I know I could get canceled for saying that, but I don't care. I think they should recast.
Yeah, at this
Um,
point, I think that's a fair assessment to make.
yeah.
Yeah, the MCU has just made so many mistakes. It's hard to take it seriously as an IP anymore. It's kind of like it is kind of like not to infringe on your fan base or anything, but it
Yeah.
is a little bit like Star Wars in that when you say you're a Star Wars fan, you kind of have to specify like, oh, so I don't like this 20-year era, but I do like this 10-year era and the 5 one over here and this TV show they did. You know that one? It feels a little bit like that where
Yeah.
where you have to sort of specify what you do and don't like and it's not really a coherent vision.
Yeah, I actually made that call a long time ago. I was like, Marvel fans are getting a little similar to Star Wars fans. And not just in the ways that you just mentioned. I have seen a lot of, oh, if you don't like this, then you're not a real fan.
Yeah.
Um, I've seen some of that with the reverse on Robert Downey Jr. Some people are like, oh, if you do like this, then you're not a real fan. I want to say, like, on that note, don't say that.
Yeah.
It's such a,
Yeah.
it's such a crappy thing to say.
been going through the same thing with an artist I like that released an album that's like different in style. Lots of people are like, if you don't support this album, you're not a fan, that kind of thing. And it's like, if you want to say you're a fan, that's fine. You don't have to support everything that comes out of this IP or this artist, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've actually this is a good
Yeah.
question because my Twitter feed has been almost exclusively negative on RDJ. How about yours?
Half and half.
Okay.
Yeah. That one just seems really mixed from what I've seen.
Lots of people saying he's not
Yeah, I don't.
Romani, so it was a bad decision, which is like, oh, we're having this conversation
Mm,
again. Okay.
yeah. But yeah, I feel like the Marvel fandom it's at times gotten dangerously close to where the Star Wars fandom is. I don't think it is anymore, and I think Acolyte kind of helped Star Wars, the Star Wars fandom get back onto the #1 toxic fan base of all time.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, the whole you're not a real fan if you like this or if you don't like this, that has no place anywhere to be said. That actually annoys me when people go around saying that sort of stuff.
Although to be fair, like you do have to think about it a little bit. If someone says they like Star Wars, just not the OT and the prequels, but they're a Star Wars fan, what would your thoughts be on that?
Well, it depends on. I guess you could get a little bit more specific on when you say fan. Like, what sort of fan are you? Are you a fan of Star Wars in general? Or are you a fan of specific stuff? I would not call myself a fan of Star Wars in general.
That's a good place to be at. I think that's an
Like,
intelligent position to reach. Yeah.
for instance, I mean, you like Andor, but you probably don't like a lot of other Star Wars stuff.
I
So
definitely
you're a
wouldn't
fan of.
consider myself a fan of Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you still, well, would you consider yourself a fan of Andor?
I guess I don't really know what that means, but, I guess tentatively yes.
Yeah. I just think the broad saying you're not a real fan, it's very stupid. You could say, oh, well, you're not a real fan of the originals. If somebody says, like, oh, I like Star Wars, but I like the sequels, then that's like fair to say, okay, well, then you're not a fan of the originals because they're not. That's objectively true. But
Oh no, you used the O word. We're gonna get in
I
trouble
did use
now.
the O word, but I think it had a place there. But that doesn't mean they're not a fan.
Sure. What if someone was like, I'm a Star Wars fan, but I dislike everything except the Andor and Acolyte?
That's a weird two to put together,
Dude,
but
I saw
but
one person saying
yeah,
that they really loved Andor, Ahsoka, and Acolyte.
I
That was
saw that. That's a wild
it's a
combination.
funny one.
Yeah. I mean, well, if they're saying that they're a Star Wars fan, then you could make the argument that that's not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
If they're what they're meaning is that like when they say they're a Star Wars fan, they're just a fan of like those IPs, then yeah, I mean that is true. They are. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, fandom is
I think just saying
such a funny thing, isn't it? Because you're meant to
yeah,
be
I
all
think using
united around something, but
the word fan in general is where it gets messy.
you're probably right. Yeah. In other news, I see you've been feeling more negatively about House of the Dragon recently.
Yeah. That last episode did not resonate with me.
This is funny. We're reversed now, where I'm positive about something and
Mm,
you're negative about it.
yeah. I'm not like completely negative about it because like during the last episode in episode 5, like whenever it goes back to the greens, I really like it. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on. I just think when we are with the blacks, Damon's been in Harrenhal for the entire show. They need to get him out of there. Rhaenyra isn't a bad character. She's just not that interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even the her plan with like the ships. First off, I don't know why Corlys wasn't involved in that. Like they make him hand and then he's just gone. That's stupid. Um, and that whole like plan as a concept is very sketchy. There's a lot of ways that that could
There
go
are a lot
wrong.
of ways where it could go wrong. The guy I was listening to sort of defend it made the point that it was foggy, so that they could have brought in like bigger ships that were guiding in the smaller ships under the cover
Yeah.
and sort of left it in,
Did you listen
closer.
to Alt Shift X?
I haven't, no.
Oh, okay.
And then
He's got some on it.
the other thing this guy brought up was that I guess, and I don't know if this is actually in the show, but according to the book, Rhaenyra has like a complete surplus of resources, so it was gonna go bad anyway, so they might as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I think there could have been better ways to show it though and establish that.
Yeah.
Also, when it comes to Game of Thrones, I do hold it to higher standards. And Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Um, I rewatched. So part of what happened is I rewatched 1 through 4. On
Oh,
this
okay.
time I did it on the big TV. My dad watched a few of them with me.
Did he watch the
Uh,
last one?
no, no.
Okay.
1 through 4, and even like 3 has its issues. I think we agree on that.
Can't remember
I
what
don't
happened
know
in
what it
3.
is. In 3, we had the whole Rhaenyra goes to talk to Alicent.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah, that was
yeah.
stupid. That was really dumb.
That was funny.
Um, but yeah, those were really, really good. Even that first episode on a rewatch, I really liked it. There's
Do
a lot
we
of,
are we
and I
still
think
on
I'm
episode
also
2 is the best class?
100%, especially the rewatch confirmed that even more.
Okay.
It's so good. There's so many little things that I noticed on the rewatch that I loved. But I love what they're doing. I love Aegon's character, dude. Like it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I love Aemond. I love the Greens. I love Otto. Um
That's
but
interesting
yeah, the
because most
blacks
people
are
are
just
saying that episode 4 was the best. I think you and
yeah,
I are
episode
sort of
4 is my
unique
second favorite.
in this.
But I think also battles in Game of Thrones just get like an easy shoe-in to be the best.
Yeah, I find that to be the case as well.
Like, I don't think Battle of the Bastards is as good as everyone remembers it to be.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
I think Hard Home's better. Even Hard Home, there's a few places where it doesn't make sense, but I think Hard Home's a lot better.
Doesn't have. Wait, which one is Hard Home? Okay, so there's Hard Home and then there's the Wall, right? Hard Home is the one where he's like in the middle of treatising with the people beyond the wall, and
Yeah.
okay, and then
And
the
then
Wall
the
is the
Night
one.
King attacks.
The Wall is
Though
the
I
one.
love. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Well, I think we both know which one the Wall is, and that one
Yeah,
might
the
be my
Wall is
favorite battle in Game of Thrones.
fantastic. I love the. Yeah, for me, it's tied between either the Wall or the attack on King's Landing in season 2.
Yeah.
Um, I really like that one in season 2 as well, because even the stuff that they do by sending the ship out with like the green fire on it, that's an actual like historical strat that's been used. Um, yeah, I love a lot of that. I love Tyrion's speech there. But yeah, Hard Home's got that scene at the end with Jon Snow and the Night King and like ignoring season 8. It is pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe I just need to rewatch 5 and 6. It's not that I like hate it necessarily. I just feel that the blacks, a lot of their characters are just really unremarkable.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to people like Jace, I think a lot of people eventually they end up just saying like, yeah, he seems like a really good kid that's like trying to take control and do right, and he seems really studious, but like I can't say I'm invested in Jace's character.
Yeah, and from a book reader's perspective, they need to do better with Jace. Anyways, yeah, I don't know, dude. And there's also that dang shipyard that they keep going back to. It's like that and Damon, nothing's happening over there. Aside from we finally got like the dragon went to accept that one dude. We finally got that.
Well, I
But
feel like
I don't
I'm
know.
viewing the last episode way more favorably because I feel like they're finally going somewhere. Like Damon's finally freed up after Grover died, and I feel like all of that setup was for the one guy to get the dragon. So now we're invested in like his character as he, is actually part of
I
the
think
mainstream plot.
my take on episode 6 is that a lot of the stuff that happened and it could have happened a lot sooner.
That's true. That's true. Unless like maybe there was some information
Especially,
that
dude,
seemed sort of
they're only doing 8 episodes.
yeah.
They need to move it. Like, I hate to say this, but I kind of feel like I'm back to like I'm getting like the similar vibes of like back on like a Marvel or Star Wars show where they have 8 episodes and they like nothing happens until like episode 7 or something stupid. Um,
I feel like things have been happening, especially with like
yeah, they have. And I
the
don't mean
little
it's
folk.
exactly the same, but I have gotten the last 2 episodes reminded me of that a little.
I guess I haven't felt it
Um,
dragging really. There have been a couple scenes here and there maybe, but I
yeah.
I don't really
Now, I
feel
have heard, I saw some reviews from people who saw this next episode. They say it's really, really good. Like, they said it's as good as episode 4.
okay.
So,
Are we gonna watch it together
hopefully,
tonight?
now, yeah, I can.
Okay.
Now, they did say there's some changes to the books, which I don't know what your take is on this. Maybe I should just, like, not read the books beforehand,
I think
just so I don't become, like, a
yeah.
book purist. Because it is easy once you already have, like, an idea of how a story's supposed to go, and then they change it. It's easy to be like, oh, what?
Yeah, I think yeah, especially after like last episode with the White Worm and Rhaenyra. I think the first thing you said after like as the credits started rolling was that's not in the books, and I think that's probably not like a great position to come to the show with.
I didn't necessarily dislike that. Um,
Okay, because I
I
think a
just
lot
feel
of
like in
people
the
on the right wing definitely did. Not like reviewers necessarily, but definitely in the comments section, there were lots of people that had a problem with that.
my issue with how they're doing Rhaenyra right now, and I've seen some people point this out, is that a lot of these decisions that she makes in the books, in the show, they're not her own decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the White Worm. She's kind of the mastermind behind things right now, and in the book, the White Worm's not even in the book at this point. Um, so I feel like the Rhaenyra could be a lot more interesting and whatnot. But she's kind of just been moping around a little bit. And dude, if she says, "What would you have me do?" one more time, I'm gonna lose it.
Who has she said that to recently?
She said it multiple times. It's just such a. I don't. I don't feel like they're portraying her as a very good leader, and maybe they're trying to get her to that point. But in the book, they do a lot. They do a much better job of portraying that, and
Well,
that's kind of where the comparison comes from.
yeah, as someone who hasn't read the books, I've kind of been under the impression that what they were trying to go for is that she's not that great of a leader and that she's not that decisive. I think
Yeah.
that's part of the point they're trying to make.
Now, here's a bit of information, and I haven't even really arrived with a conclusion on what to think about this, but I'm gonna tell it to you just so you can want to see what you think. Some of the mistakes uh made in by the blacks during this season, right? They have been the fault lies with the men because they're the ones that came up with those.
Really?
In the books, yes. In the books, Rhaenyra is the ones that came up is the one that came up with those and suffered the consequences for that. I don't know what to think of that just yet, but it is something that I've noticed and I've seen a lot of other people pointing out.
Are you talking about the mistake in terms of blood and cheese? Is that sort of the mistake you're thinking of?
Blood and cheese, I believe even a lot of stuff with Rook's Rest. Jace going and trading with the Freys.
I don't think that's a mistake. Is that a mistake? I think that's a good move on his part, and Rhaenyra seems to like that.
Uh,
I mean, maybe it'll
that one's a
go
mixed
badly
bag.
later, but I feel like for now that was a good.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't talk about that too much, but I don't know. I guess not just the men, like even like Rhaenys. It I correct me if I'm wrong. Rhaenys was the one that volunteered to go to Rook's Rest, right?
Uh, yes, Anera. I think Rhaenyra initially volunteered, and she was
Yeah.
like,
And then
no.
Rhaenys in the books, Rhaenyra sends her there to guard Rook's Rest,
Okay.
and therefore she is at fault for Rhaenys' death.
Uh, I think it makes sense with Rhaenys' character in that because Rhaenyra throughout this whole thing is pretty restless, and you know she probably wants to get like some bloodshed a little bit and all that stuff, and it also makes sense because right now the council, I feel so bad for the people in the council because they're trying to do the logical thing, and I feel like Rhaenyra's just honestly kind of getting in their way. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't feel like she's been. I feel like she has been making lots of mistakes. Even with Blood and Cheese, it is kind of on her for telling them that she wanted Aegon's, or not Aegon, Aemon's head. Like, that's kind of on her.
Yeah. There are some things in the show where I feel like the show wants me to think that she's in the right, but I don't feel like I can think that she's in the right, if that makes sense.
That's always annoying when shows do that. I don't share that perspective, but I can understand why you'd
Even like
have that.
remember the this is a different example. Remember the Rhaenys Daemon argument?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like the show wants you to think that she just mic dropped, but she didn't.
Yeah.
She didn't at all. Daemon absolutely put her in her place there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Rhaenys as a character is just kind of like she likes taking control of things, and you know, she thinks she's pretty cool.
She does think that she's pretty cool. And you know, cool people are allowed to kill innocent civilians and get away with it. I don't know if you knew this.
Apparently, and I don't actually know for sure if this is true because I haven't actually watched the end credits. But according to some people I
Mm.
listened to, like the reason they did that in episode 9 was because it came across like a girl boss moment. So
Yeah,
that it just feels silly that there's no acknowledgement of that.
yeah.
Anyway,
It is
I'm
like
excited
I
for
don't even
tonight's episode.
know. Yeah, I am too. After like now that things are kind of moving along and I'm hearing the good reviews and knowing what's coming up, um, I'm definitely on the side of, or not side. I'm way more interested in the Greens. Not that what they're doing is good all the time, but I'm more invested in their characters. Except Damon. I like Damon.
Uh, I I don't find myself interested so much in Jace or Bela or what's the other one? Reyna, that's her name. That
Yeah.
I don't find myself invested in them, but I am kind of invested in Rhaenyra.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit with the White Worm, just because she's been around for so long that like surely they're gonna do something interesting with her.
Yeah. I guess that's one reason. I mean, I guess I mentioned this earlier, but that's one reason why I haven't been a huge fan of these recent episodes. It's just kind of the shoehorning in of the White Worm.
Yeah.
It feels like they want her in there for reasons. I don't know.
I have wanted to see more of Helena for a while. I feel like
Facts.
we got a bit of her in the last episode, which I'm happy with, but I want more.
I was sad that that scene between her and Aemond at the throne wasn't longer.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think even like Aegon's character, dude, Aegon's character is gonna get so much more interesting.
I feel like he's already
Um,
very interesting.
oh yeah, he's already very interesting, but the arc that he goes on next, I think could be really, really good if they do it right.
Just be careful with what you say, because just from that alone, I know he lives, which means that like a variety of things can't happen. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we've heard multiple times mentioned before that he doesn't die yet. So,
I haven't.
oh, I was under the impression that you had, but my bad.
I like him. I hope that Laris isn't shoved to the side, because I feel like that's sort of what he's in danger of being right now. But I'm glad we're gonna get Otto back. Hopefully, hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah.
And Alicent probably won't be getting as much screen time, which is another good thing.
They did put out that scene of her in the woods, so we are gonna have that scene.
That's true. I just feel like she's not going to be in the council anymore, really. At least, I don't know.
No.
Once Otto gets there, who knows what could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, I don't know. Morally gray characters are more interesting than just one-sided characters to me.
Hmm. Are there any morally one-sided characters in House of the Dragon?
Not completely, but a lot of characters on the side of the blacks. It's pretty much where the show is just like, these are the good guys.
I do feel like Bela
Um,
and Reyna haven't gotten, like, anything for characterization, really.
yeah. And like, you know, even like Jason and even Luke, like they were considered to be like, oh, these are the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
Rhaenyra's the good queen. Damon's morally gray, which is why I like him. I like him a lot more. But just the characters on the greens, even like Otto, I find Otto to be so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Corliss is pretty, at least for now, he's pretty good, but he's probably one of the better characters on the blacks.
Yeah. One of my most least favorite things is how he becomes the hand and then he's just gone. I don't think that makes any sense at all.
He's hanging around. Um,
Yeah.
he's at the shipyard, ready for another scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, we can end the stream there, but that we just wanted to talk about different media. We'll do a Cobra Kai stream eventually. I think we're both still sort of processing, putting together some stuff.
I don't know. I'm kind of over it.
Over processing it, or you don't really like it?
I like it, but like, I don't know if I have too much more to think through on it till we get the next set of episodes.
Yeah. Well, just so you guys know my take, I think it's pretty lame and not really much different from season 5, but and lots of people, I have heard a decent amount of people that are like, "Dude, what's happened? Um why did we get to this place? It feels like it's doing filler." And I'm just sitting here like, does it feel like that way? I'm I'm sorry to hear that. That's strange. That's so strange.
Yeah.
That just happened,
I still get so irritated by that.
huh?
Everyone's like, "Oh, Kenny's a bad character." I could have told you that one season ago.
It is funny how it just switched, like just now.
Yeah.
I wonder what it is that made it switch. I really do. In any case,
I don't know.
thank you guys so much for watching. I love all of you the same, unless someone's in chat that I missed, and then I love that person a little more. Anyway, goodbye.